The 2021 cryptocurrency and Bitcoin bull market has seen a lot of new investors from all around the world get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, obviously here to try and make some profits from the game. So what most people are asking and wondering is, when will the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency bull market end? That's what we're going to look at in today's video, looking at technicals and fundamental reasons how and when this can happen. So before we get started, make sure you smash all of the YouTube algorithm numbers, the likes, the subscribes, bell notification icon, and click all so you can be updated with this content that I'm putting out on a daily basis here on the channel. Thanks to everyone that has been following along through this journey over the last couple of years. Let's dive into today's video. We're going to start with Bitcoin dominance chart here. So all I've done here is circle the times, or put in purple boxes, the times when Bitcoin is on the run, and then when it pauses and some of that money flows back out into altcoins. And the reason that this happens, you're probably aware of it yourself, is that the returns just don't look that good from Bitcoin for a period of time. And at that point, people start to move their money into altcoins. So that's what we can see here. As Bitcoin starts to bleed out, money is flowing into other altcoins, which are getting bigger returns. And then eventually it comes to a head, and the money flows back into Bitcoin as people are taking profits from their altcoins. And what people don't want to do is be left holding those bags when that period comes. And this final blow-off period for Bitcoin and altcoins happened after the peak of the Bitcoin top, the Bitcoin bull market top in 2017 that we can see in December 2017. And then the money flowed out into the cryptocurrencies. And we'll look at the specific way that they flow out into these cryptos in this video as well. But I also want to dive heavily into the market sentiment, looking at the news and how the news affects the different periods of the market, or how the market responds to the news more accurately. And so going on with the Bitcoin dominance, we can see the same thing happens time and time again. The money flows back into Bitcoin during the bear market. And then we have small little pumps into altcoins along the way that we can see, one here in March into May of 2018. And I expect that'll happen again. And then the money flows back into Bitcoin, something a bit safer in the space, and it pauses for a while, and then it happens again. So it flows back into alts, back into Bitcoin, and then eventually out into alts again. And that's what we've seen over the first half of this year before everything came crashing down from around mid-May into that low of mid to late May, and then again into June. And that's what we're starting to play out again here. So if we're repeating something similar to history at the moment, maybe we are on one of these last stages of Bitcoin regaining some dominance before the money flows back out into alts and people get that one last hit of euphoria and adrenaline while their money goes up. So what can we take away from this to understand when will the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency bull market end? Well, the main thing we look at here is when we get these turning points, when the market starts to slow and then reverse back the other way. This is the time when the money is flowing back into Bitcoin. And then, as you can see, for a shorter period of time, comes back into alts because people think, well, maybe it's time for the alts to play again, but it gets a higher bottom in this case, and then it's back into Bitcoin. So it looks like the alt party is over. And we're sort of getting that at the moment. That's what we can see. We've got two bottoms, a little double bottom here, and the money is flowing out into Bitcoin, but there are still some altcoins popping off within this period. It's just not spread across the entire space. So that's something that we can take away from using the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now I'm going to look at some of the news and understanding the market sentiment. I've got a chart here of the S&P 500, and it's got a lot of the major news events labeled on the chart here. And you can see the charts continue to go up, make about 500%, but there's been massive bad news along the way up. And this is called climbing the wall of worry. And I think at the moment, that's kind of what Bitcoin's been going through, because a lot of the bad news isn't really affecting it too bad. We are still getting high lows and the market continues up. And on the flip side, the good news is still pushing the market up. If and when we flip into a bear market, it'll be the reverse. The good news will just hold the market up. It won't actually push it up too much, and the bad news will continue to dump the market even harder. So that's an important understanding about the market to really take on board for the next stages of the market. If you start to see a lot of good news coming out and the market's not moving, you don't need to ask, why isn't this happening? Why is it not working? It's because the sentiment and the cycle is shifting. That's as simple as it is. You also might recall the Wall Street cheat sheet, and you can follow this through every single cycle. We are possibly in a disbelief stage, and then this just wraps back around again. Disbelief, maybe we'll have a dump in the next couple of days to couple of weeks, and then we move on to the hope stage, because we're still climbing that wall of worry. So this is all the wall of worry through here, the depression, the disbelief, the hope, and then we get into the optimism where the rally really starts to go vertical, gets into belief. This is when the last people get into the market through the belief, thrill, and euphoria, thinking that everyone's in, which means it's safe. That's usually the worst time to be in the market. We have a blow off top, some sort of peak, we dump back down. This is the buy the dip from the new guys, and then we get into a complacency stage. And if you want to have a look at this in real time, check out the Bitcoin chart from April into May of this year, where we had this exact move happen. The euphoria peaked up into an 80,000, which we never got to. We had a big correction, which took out lows. And then we came into a May top and everyone thought we were going again. But that's where the energy ran out of the market and we got into this big dump. So this happens time and time again. So that's another reason that I look out for, another way that I find out when will this cycle end. Now, to look at this in real time, looking at some of the news which is coming out now, and we are climbing that wall of worry, we have Evergrande, which should be smashing the markets down, correcting the markets. We should be going into some sort of bear market and forever down depressed stage. That's what we see online all the time. Stock markets are down. Chinese real estate giant on the brink of collapse. We've wiped this out of the Bitcoin market, and we are now above those prices of when this news came out back in September. Now, we've also got the Bitcoin mining. There was a lot of FUD there. China bans Bitcoin mining. Markets drop. We get a higher low. Market is now wiped out the Bitcoin mining, and it's spun into a positive that it's breaking news. US now has 35% of global Bitcoin mining power. And you can see that represented on this chart here as well. So all of the mining that's gone out of China has gone elsewhere. Kazakhstan's taken a lot. US has taken a bunch of it as well. So the bad news has now been spun into good news. If this comes out in a bear market, it won't matter. It will not kickstart the market. The market will continue down. That's how you know as well. We also have ETFs which are coming out, so news catalysts. This is also a big thing. We've got a lot of ETFs. They should be coming out sometime later this year, potentially early in 2022. Maybe these things will put a tipping point or a top into the market, and that's when we go back to our Wall Street cheat sheets to give us an idea of the market sentiment at the time, and also track the support and resistance levels. The market breaks support levels during these good times. It's probably signs that the market needs to slow down. So we've gone through the Bitcoin dominance, the wall of worry, going into euphoria, which is the last stages of the market. That's how you can know when the market is about to end. And there's usually not the biggest gains at that point. The biggest gains are from the bear market lows. So if you miss the top, you miss the top. But at least you're saving your ass from getting absolutely ripped apart at the top in the euphoria when all the new investors come into the market. We have major news catalysts, which we've looked at, looking at things like ETFs and say mining that's coming from China. It's going out into other countries. It's a pretty big catalyst. Good news, bad news cycles. We've looked at that. And then we have a few other pieces to look at in terms of altcoin charts and Ethereum, different cycles as the money moves into altcoins. The last thing I want to look at is what do I do when the bull market ends? We'll talk about that in just a minute, but let's just look at the cycle as it continues on. So the cycle's continuing on. We have 226 million returning to the Bitcoin market, which we can see over the last few weeks. The money has really been flowing in. So even during the bear markets, money may be flowing in, and we just won't see the same sort of exuberance in the market. We also have miners, which are producing more Bitcoin, and they are actually holding it as well and not selling it just yet. So this is all going to come into the market at some point. They're going to have to sell off and make some profits. So these guys here, Riot Blockchain, are holding $190 million in coins, holding it. Eventually it's going to come onto the market at some point. They can't hold forever. More good news, MoonPay valued at $3.4 billion after first funding rounds in cryptocurrencies, now over the billions of dollars. We're not at the top yet, but we still have a lot of good news to come. And we also have bad news as well. One last bit of good news, we're at 2 billion in Ethereum burned. Ethereum is making its way into the major macro news piece of the cryptocurrency space. A lot of this crypto is being taken off the market as well. So people will be blindsided by the bad news and only be looking at the good news because, for example, Ethereum is all coming off the market. It's not going to be seen again. Therefore, Ethereum can never go down. That'll be something in the headlines as we get closer to that euphoria stage. Now on to some of the bad news, which I don't think has really made that much of a difference in the market or really seen people talk about it. China seeking judicial authority to convict and sentence crypto activities. So people using cryptocurrency in China can be sentenced for making any crypto activity. This is pretty crazy. Very, very crazy in my opinion. Then we have JP Morgan, which no one pays attention to and now anyway. But in a bear market, I think this will spook the market. But in a bull market, no one gives an absolute flying F about what Jamie Dimon has to say. We have Moscow not planning to ban Russians from buying cryptocurrency, but the position now is to ban operations with cryptocurrencies on the territory of the Russian Federation. So they might actually use this, they might actually not. It might just be in the laws. But at the moment, I don't really see anyone talking about this as well. We're in a very positive state of mind. Binance halts Chinese yuan crypto OTCs, so over-the-counter trades in Chinese yuan, and restricts China user access. Pretty big one. The biggest cryptocurrency exchange in the world halting Chinese yuan, so not banning, but halting. And finally, one of the biggest things that people skip over is that El Salvador doesn't really like Bitcoin. They're not really using it. People will probably come at me for this, but I'm looking at Mark Falzon's post here, and he's been in El Salvador. He's not trying to say one's better than the other. Maybe he's a Bitcoin Cash guy. I don't know. I don't care. The point is the numbers say that 12% of the population of El Salvador has used Bitcoin. The president said 2 million users. Absolutely nonsense. Chivo, which is their wallet in El Salvador, literally banned its users from sub $5 transactions. They were given $30 for free. So there's a lot of news that isn't coming to light at the moment because we're in a bull market. So when we get to an end of a bull market, this stuff will become far more prominent in the news. It's actually real stuff that's going on now, but people want to brush it off and say, well, Bitcoin's being used in a country, everything is good. It's not necessarily the case for the people on the ground there. So that was the good news, bad news cycles. There's a lot of it just to really run home the point of what's going on at the moment and when will the bull market and cryptocurrency bull market end. That's what I'm seeing. And then, of course, there's the technicals to it as well, which we've looked at on the dominance chart. And then we also look at altcoin and shitcoin charts. We want to see some topping out patterns. And this usually happens, like we saw with the dominance, after Bitcoin has had its peak. That money starts to flow into altcoins, everyone starts to gamble, and potentially this time they might not boom as high as they have done in 2017 because we have a lot of smart money and dumb money in the space. But previously there was far less smart money. It was a lot of dumb money just trying to run the show, and they got wrecked. It's what happened in 2018. Some of us were there, 98% down on those cryptocurrencies. Ethereum top, it tends to come out after the Bitcoin top. So it's something to keep in mind as well. So that gives us another signal that, all right, Bitcoin's had its move. Bitcoin's trying to come again to its high, but Ethereum is stealing the show at the moment. And then the gains start to flow out of Bitcoin and ETH. And then that's the next signal. Meme coins, crap, old school stuff, legacy coins are pumping, stuff that has no value. That's another big sign. We're looking at Secrets of Crypto again. I often refer back to these because it's like when you find a good book that has a lot of information in it. For example, if you're into real estate, this thing is fantastic. Link to it is down below. You pretty much come back to it all the time for reference. And it's just like trying to sift through some of the online noise out there. This is really good stuff. It makes it really simple. So at the start of the altcoin pumps, we have the latest technology and innovative altcoin pumps. They pump first and they lead the market. Then the middle, the lesser known stuff, still good quality. They're under accumulation and Satoshi value pump. So you want it to pump in Bitcoin value. Then at the end of that cycle, you get the meme coins, you get the dead coins, the old legacy stuff, you get the garbage, absolute crap pumping because people are just looking for gains anywhere. And then it might happen once or twice, but eventually it fails. And that's when the market is really over. And we can see the path to the altcoin season. And then that was the end of the cycle. So you get the Bitcoin into the Ethereum, into the large caps, into the alt season. Then within the alt season, you go from the good stuff, the crap stuff, to the absolute garbage stuff. And we go through that cycle a few times. So once we see that happen, I think probably at the end of this period of the Bitcoin bull, maybe that's the last time for this major cycle. Now, the proviso there is that it doesn't have to be the absolute end. Maybe we go into another long consolidation like we have just seen. We're underneath the old all-time high now for 6 months. Bitcoin all-time high was April 14th, and we're now Friday 15th of October. So a solid 6 months. If we fall down again, maybe we're down for 3 or 4 months. Maybe the periods get shorter, and then we go for another pump. So we have to be on the ball all the time. No one knows the future, but we have a lot of things to guide us to that point in time to give us an idea of when that cycle is over. Maybe we're in a massive macro super cycle, and this happens a few more times before we get to that peak. These are all things to consider, but as long as you have a plan in mind and you can see the signals, the writing on the wall, then it gives you a chance to get out of the market and then back in when the signals turn around. So when will the Bitcoin and crypto bull market end? I've given you a list of tools there to go through and use. So make sure you've liked the video, subscribed to it, and put it on one of your playlists so that you can come back and watch it and get an idea and go and play with the tools as well to give you a feel for when this might occur. Go back and look at history. Now, what do I do when the bull market ends? Simple. I'll trade a few cryptocurrencies. There's not as many opportunities to go long in that period, and it is far more risky to go long when the market is falling. All right, when the market's going up, it's less risky to be going long with the market. I'll teach cryptocurrency. That's what I have been doing for a long time. It's what I'll continue to do. I love doing YouTube. That's just what I'll do. Maybe you'll do the same. Maybe you'll go and teach some of your other friends, family, how to get into cryptocurrency, and then that brings on the next cycle. I'll get into research. There's far more time in a bear market to do the research, because in a bull, not enough time. Everything is going crazy. That's what part of the preparation for the next bull market is the research. And the last thing is go on holidays. Take a break from this thing, because we've been in it for many years now. It's been going hard, going fast. I need to get some sleep, all those sorts of things. Maybe take a shave, go to the beach and just relax so that you can be prepared for the next bull market. And with that in mind, I thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and found some value from it. This is what I'll be doing. This is what I've been following for a very long time. Like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter for daily crypto updates. And of course, the Patreon link is down below in the top of the description. I'll see you guys at the next video. Until then, have more fun to get more done.